A new executive order from President Biden will set a minimum wage for government contracts at $15 an hour. Eric Crusius is a partner at Holland Knight looking at the new proposal. Eric, welcome. It's good to have you on the program. What do we know about this timeline for implementation and so on?
Well, it's interesting. It's not supposed to be implemented until early next year. The regulations are due to be written in November of this year and finalized then. But the executive order has something interesting in it where it encourages agencies, to the extent permitted by law, to raise the minimum wage and adopt this policy prior to that time. So contractors should be on the lookout to see if maybe agencies will kind of throw this executive order into their contracts.
How many contractors are there? How many employees of contractors are there, do we even know, that will move up from the lower number to the higher number?
So the government claims that it's in the hundreds of thousands. I'm not so sure. We'll have to see. But I mean, the Department of Labor issues a wage determination for each locality. Well, actually issues two technically for each locality on the normal wage determinations. And a lot of those wages have positions that are below $15 an hour, especially when you get outside of the large metropolitan areas. So all those folks will be impacted by this in a positive way for them, where their wages will see an increase from whatever they're making up to $15 per hour. But there's not really, I don't think there's really kind of solid evidence as far as how many employees or how many contractors will be impacted. It'll be quite a few. Certainly on the employee side, the government claims it's in the hundreds of thousands.
Do we have any sense yet of how the contractors themselves might react? Are they going to be able to, for contracts that are already in place, are they going to be able to bill the government back? Or are they going to have to eat this?
So with the with President Obama's executive order that was very similar, that raised it to $10.10 an hour and then adjusted upwards based on the consumer price index, contractors were able to get a price adjustment that was built into the regulation after it was written, not adding to profits or anything like that. So the profits margins went down because the hourly wage went up. But the interesting thing is, if this is kind of inserted into contracts early, the executive order doesn't allow for any kind of compensation to the contractors for the additional wages. So it remains to be seen as far as what the regulation will look like. I imagine it'll mirror the old one, which allowed for compensation to contractors. But in that interim period where maybe agencies are going to insert this early, it'll be kind of interesting to see what kind of tact agencies will take if contractors will be able to get that difference.
Where will this hit the most? Do we have a sense of that yet? What types of businesses, what types of organizations across the contracting, the industrial base will be impacted the most by this, Eric?
So I would probably think the services industry. This executive order covers a number of different types of contracts. Most prevalent are contracts covered by the Service Contract Act and the Davis-Bacon Act, construction and services. And I think there's a ton of folks who are working in call centers, who are doing maintenance and cleaning and things like that, who are probably making less than $15 an hour. So I think those contracts and those employees will probably be mostly impacted by this.
What overall should companies be doing to prepare for this besides just examining where their pay bases are right now?
Contractors should really be, under the Service Contract Act and Davis-Bacon Act, they have to track how much they're paying employees and how often they're doing it and for how many hours they're being compensated for. But contractors should also kind of save the records to show the difference in wages that the employees will be getting, because there'll probably be an opportunity to get a price adjustment for that difference. So those records need to be saved, and contractors have to be proactive in working with the agency to get that price adjustment, because too much time may pass and they may not have the ability to do so.
I want to shift gears in the time that we have left and ask you about the JEDI contract. The court where that case resides now is saying that it will continue. The Defense Department had asked for that case to be stopped. What's your take on what that means for the future of this contract, Eric?
Oftentimes when contracts run into this much trouble through the court system or at GAO, the agency gives up and says, all right, let's just start this again and start fresh. But it's been quite amazing to see the resilience that DOD has had in kind of sticking with this procurement through thick and thin. They obviously believe in it quite a bit. And I don't know that this will impact it that much, because DOD seems bent on fighting for it along the way. But, this is one of those classic knockout, drop down battles between contractor and the federal government. And I'm no clued in as far as how this is going to turn out as I was 2 years ago. It's been quite a lot of twists and turns, and I think if anybody knows what's going to happen, they're kind of fooling us, and they have a bridge to sell us in Brooklyn.
That's what's striking to me about this whole case, Eric, is that we are in the same spot we were in 2017, 2018. We don't seem to be any further along. There's a story in Washington Business Journal this weekend. Carton Cordell wrote a story with 3 potential outcomes. One of them is a deal with Amazon in order to give them a piece of the business to get them to stop doing this so they can move forward. How often do those kinds of deals happen in cases like this?
They do happen sometimes. I had a protest resolved that way about 3 or 4 months ago, so it does happen. I think that's an equitable way out of this. It's kind of contra to what DoD wanted to do with JEDI, where they wanted one provider for this whole platform. But I think that could be a fair adjudication of this and allows the government to move on. This thing has been held up for years now. The government needs this solution, and I'm not blaming any company for this because it's nobody's fault. But they do need to move on and kind of figure a way out of this, and that's a good possible way out.
Eric Crusius, thanks very much. Great to see you as always.
Thank you.